Nothing happens by accident. I learned this the hard way, long before I knew that the hard way was the only path to true, certain knowledge. Early in my life, I came to fear the power of strange conveyances. Though I thought I always chose the safest path, I found myself powerless to avoid the small treacheries of fate. Because I was a timid boy, I grew up fearful and knew deep in my heart the world was out to get me. Before the summer of my senior year in high school, the real life I was always meant to lead lay coiled and ready to spring in the hot Charleston days that followed. On June 16, 1969, a series of unrelated events occurred. I discovered that my mother once had been a Roman Catholic nun in the Sacred Heart Order. An Atlas moving van backed into the driveway of a 19th-century Charleston single house across the street from ours. 2 orphans arrived at the gates of St. Jude's Orphanage behind the cathedral on Broad Street. And the News and Courier recorded that a drug bust had taken place on East Bay Street at the Rutledge Bennett House. I was 18, with a reputation as a slow starter, so I could not feel the tectonic shift in my fate as my history began to launch of its own volition. It would be many years before I learned that your fate could scuttle up behind you, touch you with its bloody claws, and when you turn to face the worst, you find it disguised in all innocence and camouflaged as a moving van, an orphanage, and a drug bust south of Broad. If I knew then what I have come to learn, I would never have made a batch of cookies for the new family across the street, never uttered a single word to the orphans, and never introduced myself to the 2 students who were kicked out of Porter Goud School and quickly enrolled at my own Peninsula High for their senior year. But fate comes at you cat-footed, unavoidable and bloodthirsty. The moment you are born, your death is foretold by your newly minted cells, as your mother holds you up, then hands you to your father, who gently tickles the stomach where the cancer will one day form, studies the eyes where melanoma's dark signature is already written along the optic nerve, touches the back where the liver will one day house the cirrhosis, feels the bloodstream that will sweeten itself into diabetes, admires the shape of the head where the brain will fall to the axe handle of stroke, or listens to your heart, which, exhausted by the fearful ways and humiliations and indecencies of life, will explode in your chest like a light going out in the world. Death lives in each one of us and begins its countdown on our birthdays and makes its rough entrance at the last hour and the perfect time.